Hi, welcome back to Finding Faith in Fiction. I'm Chrissy, and today I'm going to be sharing my Fall TBR for 2025. Guys, I am so excited. It's fall. It's my favorite season of the year. Now, I do live in Thailand where it's extremely hot and we don't have a fall season. So I am trying to make myself feel all of the coziness. I've got my pumpkins on hand, my little electric candles, the scent of thieves in my diffuser in the background, trying to make myself get those fall vibes for this video. So currently I have 48 books on my fall TBR, and that is not including all of the ARC books that I am doing for reviews in the next month or two. These are just ones that looked interesting, had covers that looked like fall, or that I saw in some of the Facebook groups people recommending for like a good fall vibe. So we're going to go through each one. This is going to be a long video, so if you want a shorter version, feel free to check out my short or my Instagram reels for a bit of a shorter version of this. If I'm not looking at the camera so much, it's because I am reading off my notes to make sure that I get everything. So the first on my list, and this actually is an arc that I'm going to be reading, is called The Second Story Bookshop. This is by Denise Hunter. So here is what it's about. It says she inherits the bookshop of her dreams, but she has to run it with the ex she vowed never to speak with again. Shelby Thatcher adores working in the charming small town bookshop her grandmother opened years ago. Since high school, she's helped Graham turn the shop into a community hub for book lovers in the lakeside town of Granville, North Carolina. When her beloved grandma passes away, Shelby inherits the bookstore. But to her shock, Graham leaves half ownership to Gray Briggs, the man who broke Shelby's heart years ago. As the adversaries are forced to work together, Graham's beyond the grave scheme is working. Shelby's old feelings for Gray begin to resurface, but the problems that destroyed their relationship before still remain, and a new one surfaces, one that threatens Graham's beloved bookshop. Is their love doomed to fail again, or will they find a way to make it work this time around? That sounds really cute. This is expected to be published around October 7th. So this will be coming out shortly. I am really excited. For me, fall cozy vibes are anything bookshop related. So this sounds really good. All right, the next book is called A Fall of Marigolds. I had to choose this one because it literally says fall in the title. And it does have some red and orange colored marigolds on the cover. This is by Susan Meissner. Sorry if I'm pronouncing any names wrong here. A beautiful scarf passed down through generations connects two women who learn that the weight of the world is made bearable by a love we give away. So this looks like it is a dual timeline between September 1911, Ellis Island, New York, and September 2011, Manhattan's Upper West Side. So it talks a little bit about the collapse of the World Trade Towers and some of that. Also, one of the major fires that took place in Manhattan back in 1911. So it does have some historical components to it looks like. But it definitely looks like this century-old scarf that connects these two stories together, kind of pulls the dual timelines together, which sounds really cute. I love New York City, always have always wanted to live there. So I think I'll really enjoy the setting of this, and the cover is really pretty as well. The next book I have on my TBR is The Girl from the Hidden Forest by Hannah Linder. All right, so this one definitely has some cozy vibes on the cover. She's standing in a forest. So it's got the sunlight shining through. It just looks fall to me. The nightmares may free her, but destroy the man she loves. Enjoy another Gothic style Regency from Hannah Linder. Okay, so this one's Gothic style Regency, which kind of sounds cool. I haven't read a Gothic style Regency or really any Gothic style yet, so I'm excited to try this out and see if it's a good fit or not. I'm not sure. All right, so it says Eliza Ellis has stayed hidden in Balfour Forest for as long as she can remember. Perhaps her only friends are the trees, or her little dog, or her storytelling father called Captain. But at least she is safe from the cruel world outside, a world Captain has warned her against and protected her from. That is until a handsome stranger named Felton Northwood invades her quiet forest and steals her away. Why does he tell such lies? Why does he insist that her name is Miss Eliza Gillingham, daughter of a viscount, who disappeared 14 years ago after the murder of her own mother, a murder Eliza is said to have witnessed? This is giving Lost Heiress vibes. I don't think that's pretty much all that it reminds me of, but it's giving those vibes. All right, when Felton returns Eliza to Monbury Manor and reunites her with a man who is told to be her real father, all she remembers are the strange nightmares that have plagued her since childhood. Why have they suddenly grown worse? Are the answers hidden inside her own mind? As danger mounts and lethal attempts are made on her life, Eliza and Felton must work together to uncover the identity of a killer who has stayed silent for 14 years. When she finally uncovers the horrendous memories trapped in her mind, will divulging the truth cost her the man she loves and both of their lives? All right. I don't know about that one. That sounds murder, mystery, suspense. I might save that one for October. I can handle a little bit more in October because the mindset, I think, a little bit more spookier, like gory stuff. I don't know. I think I'll give it a try. So next up is Heartland Autumn. This one is on Kindle Unlimited, which makes me super happy. I do have a Kindle Unlimited account. So the majority of the books that I do read from my Fall TBR are going to be from Kindle Unlimited. Kindle Unlimited, just because I'm trying to be responsible with money. Also, I'm planning a big trip to the States to visit my family in the fall, and so there'll be limited funds left for books. So I'm mostly going to read from these ones that say Kindle Unlimited, and then I'll pick some of the ones that do cost money for the Kindle editions, like sporadically throughout as I have money. All right, so Heartland Autumn by Bodhi. I don't know how to say this. Thoween? Thone? Thony? Not sure. A tapestry of hope woven through generations, Heartland Autumn invites you on a journey from the dusty backroads of Depression-era Arkansas to the frozen streets of Cold War Berlin and into the tender heart of America itself. In 20 unforgettable tales, Bodhi Theon, I don't know, explores the quiet miracles that bloom when faith and family stand together against the storms of history. Originally published in Mature Living magazine, the sweet nostalgic stories of Heartland Autumn remind us that the smallest seeds of faith can grow into bountiful harvests of grace. That one sounds cute. I do like Depression era timelines, so that might be interesting for sure. I haven't read this book, but it has decent reviews on Goodreads, so I might give it a try. Next up, we have Shades of Autumn, contemporary Christian fiction by Carolyn Johnston. This is also a Kindle Unlimited book, so again, it's likely that I'll be reading it just because of that. This one has slightly lower reviews on Goodreads, but that doesn't necessarily mean I won't read it, so we'll have to see. Let's see, Can the Beauty and Charm... Oh, yes. Okay, I'll be reading this because of what I'm about to say. Forget their reviews. Can the beauty and charm of the Scottish Highlands set her free from the lies of her past? Lorna Campbell flees her abusive husband and her life in London for the refuge of Braid Hope, a Christian outdoor center in the Scottish Highlands. When the owner's family learns of her plight, her stay is extended, complete with a part-time job and a place to stay. But even surrounded by beauty, friendship, and faith, memories of her marriage and fears of an unknown future plague her. Is this new life enough, or will her husband, with all his wealth and promises, lure her back? Amidst shades of autumn, can there be a happily ever after, or will winter's chill descend on shattered dreams? That sounds good. I am really into like Scottish Highland stuff. I used to be a big Outlander fan. I don't watch it slash read it anymore because of the mature elements of it that I don't necessarily agree with anymore, but I do love me some Jamie Fraser and some Scottish Highlands, I have to say. All right, another Kindle Unlimited is My Stubborn Heart by Becky Wade. I have not read any Becky Wade books, but I have heard her mentioned in several different booktube videos and on some of the Facebook groups I'm in. So I definitely want to give her one of her books a try. All right, a sensational CBA debut in contemporary romance. Kate Donovan is burned out on work, worn down by her dating relationships, and in need of an adventure. When her grandmother asks Kate to accompany her to Redbud, Pennsylvania, to restore the grand old house she grew up in, Kate jumps at the chance, takes a leave of absence from her job as a social worker, and the two of them set off. Upon her arrival in Redbud, Kate meets Matt Giroux, I don't know how to say that, the man her grandmother has hired to renovate the house. From the first moment she meets Matt, Kate can't help but be attracted to him. He's got a combination of good looks and charisma that draw and tug at her. But she knows there's zero chance of romance between them. You gotta love these ones where they're only in town for a short while and they just know the romance will never work, and it always does. It always does. All right, Matt's in love with his dead wife, and even if he weren't, Kate realizes that she's way too ordinary for him. For Matt is no ordinary guy. Kate discovers that he was once a great NHL hockey player who left the sport when his wife, an honest to goodness former Miss America, was diagnosed with brain cancer. Matt's been hiding from people, from God, and his past ever since, yet Kate is absolutely determined to befriend him, try to reach him, and help him in some small way. No, Kate's not looking for love. They never are. They never are, guys. She knows better than that by now. But when the stilted, uncomfortable interactions between Kate and Matt slowly shift into something more, is God finally answering the longing of her heart, or will Kate be required to give up more than she ever dreamed? All right, sounds like we have a couple interesting things going on there. We've got the like leave of absence, the fixing up the old house, the NHL hockey, maybe not active romance, but there's some elements of it there. It sounds cute. I think I can get on board with that. And it has some fall foliage on the front, so that's always a good sign too. All right, up next are a couple of books that are part of series, and some of them are book one and some of them are further into the series. So I'm probably going to do a little bit more research to see if these are books that could be standalones that I can read, or if it would make sense to wait and like read the other parts of the series throughout next year and loop back around to the autumn or fall ones next fall after I've had a chance to read through the others. So the first one is Grace in Autumn by Lori Copeland, and this is part of Heavenly Days series, and it's book two. So if you've read number one, this might be a good read for you. It's November, and as the island residents prepare for the upcoming months of cold and snow, they are surprised by God's unexpected lessons of humility, trust, and hope. Authors Lori Copeland and Angela Hunt revisit the island of Heavenly Days in the second book of the highly acclaimed series about a small town where angelic intervention is commonplace and the Thanksgiving feast a community affair. Oh, okay, I remember reading about this. So it is like a two-author series. So Lori Copeland wrote this one. I'm assuming Angela Hunt wrote the first one, or maybe they co-wrote both of them. And yeah, I read mixed reviews about this one. It has like about 4 stars on Goodreads, and some people liked it. It has kind of, it doesn't sound necessarily like magical, but there's definitely like some spiritual elements that take place, which kind of intrigues me a little bit. So I don't know. If I find out that this would make a good standalone, I think I'll go ahead and give it a try. Otherwise, I'll wait and read it next year after I've had a chance to read book one. So if you've read this, and you think it would be a good standalone, please let me know in the comments. All right, next up we have Maple Melodies, a Sugartree fall romance. So this is the fourth book in the Sugartree romance series by B.R. Goodwin. This series looks adorable, and I added all of the books of this into my different season TBRs. So winter, spring, summer, and then this is the fall one. So if I don't read this one this fall, I will definitely be starting in order like next year and going through because they look really cute and I like the covers a lot. But if you've read this and you haven't read number 4, this would be a great fall one. Let's see. Virginia Remillard, a famous amongst her 3 siblings for her unmatched tenacity, has never shied away from going after what she wants in life, unless you count longtime friend of family and her forever crush, Ryan Hood. Though she's confident he's noticed her in a new way over the past few years, Ryan refuses to acknowledge Ginny as anything more than the cute baby sister of his friends. All right, so we've got like brother's best friend kind of thing going on. In a moment of unbridled frustration, Ginny takes out her annoyance with Ryan on an unknown patron of her favorite record store, leaving a sternly worded letter any Southern woman would be proud of, and more than a little sass in her wake, leading to an unexpected pen pal in him, Melody Man. When Ginny and Ryan start seeing more of each other thanks to Sugartree's upcoming bicentennial celebration and flag football game, they're both committed to winning. Melody Man quickly becomes Ginny's ever-encouraging confidant and a friendship she hasn't known she needed. Ooh, interesting. Okay, so are there 2 men? Do they end up being the same man? We'll see. That's cute. So we've got some football, we've got a bicentennial celebration, we've got some letters. Yeah, that sounds really cute. All right, next up, this will be part of a series or is part of a series, but it's book number 1. So this is The Bookish Bandit, and this is by Erica Dansereau and Britt Howard. I'm probably destroying these, sorry guys. This is on Kindle Unlimited, so this is one I'll definitely be reading. I think yes, I actually scheduled this to read after my current book, which is The Heart of Bennett Hollow. So this is actually one of the first ones I'm going to start off with. All right, so let's see. It says aspiring author Charlie Blair never expected to stumble across her own novel at her favorite bookstore. Except this novel isn't hers. Published under someone else's name, the book she wrote to cope with the loss of her missionary parents is already topping charts. Irate, confused, and determined to regain the rights to her book, Charlie leaves her idyllic life in the countryside of Vermont to set things straight in the Big Apple. When she crashes into a charming stranger who offers to help, her faith in humanity and God's handiwork is restored. But when secrets unravel and the final pages have been turned, what's too good to be true may turn into a blossoming love story, may turn a blossoming love story into a star-crossed tragedy. That sounds so good. Oh my gosh, can you imagine if you wrote a book and somebody stole it and published it? That would be horrible. This cover is definitely all the fall vibes. You can see it up here. Yeah, so this is a Kindle Unlimited. Like I said, I have one book that I'm currently reading that I'm doing as an arc, and then this is my next one that I'm going to read. So I'm really excited to read this one. We've got New York City, we've got books. So yep, sounds good. All right, next up is Callie and the Pumpkin Seed, a Cinderella retelling by Sarah Baran. I've also heard of her and heard good things of her. I feel like I read a book of hers, but I can't remember. This one is also on Kindle Unlimited, and this one sounds so cute, so I'm definitely going to be reading this one. She's a baker struggling to support her stepfamily. He's a prince running from the biggest decision of his life. Can their friendship result in something sweet, or is it a recipe for disaster? Calliope Cendrillon wants nothing more than for her bakery sweet peas pumpkin perfections to start turning a profit. After her father's sudden death left her family in dire financial straits, Callie's infamous pumpkin treats are the only thing standing between protecting her family's legacy and losing it all. Whenever one of Callie's new regulars presents her the chance to cater treats for the prince's choosing ball, it's an offer she can't refuse. But Ever has secrets he's been hiding, and when her attendance and premature exit catches the eye of the prince, Callie finds herself participating in a series of unconventional tests. Trying to find a girl using her slipper was unbelievable enough, but finding a worthy princess using a pumpkin seed, that takes the cake. When a single pumpkin seed has the power to change Callie's future, will she be able to cater to her heart, or will her dreams of true love burn to a crisp? Okay, we've got some baking puns in there. That is a good sign of what's to come. So we've got pumpkin, we've got bakery, Cinderella retelling. If y'all have followed my channel at all, you know I have been binge reading Beauty and the Beast retellings, but I'm going to take a break and try this Cinderella one because pumpkins, right? Pumpkin carriages fall. It's just, it needs to happen. So I'm excited about this book. I think that might be my next read, maybe. I don't know. I'm like, so I have my reading journal and I do try to like chart out my months, but when it comes down to it, I end up reading what I'm in the mood for and not following my list as tightly. So, take this whole TBR as a grain of salt because, I could end up reading several on this list and finding a bunch of new ones and adding to them. So we'll see how it goes. Next up, this is another mid-series read that looks really cute, but again, I may or may not read it. This one is My Foolish Heart by Susan May Warren, and it's part of Deep Haven series, and it is book 4, and it's also available on Kindle Unlimited. So again, I may read this one if it turns out that it would be okay as a standalone, but if I feel like it's better to read the whole series, then I'll wait. But if you've read this series at all, this looks like a really cute fall read. All right, 2012 Christie Award finalist, contemporary romance category. Unknown to her tiny town of Deep Haven, Isadora Presley spends her nights as Miss Foolish Heart, the star host of a syndicated talk radio show. Millions tune in to hear her advice on dating and falling in love, unaware that she's never really done either. Okay. Izzy's ratings soar when it seems she's falling in love on air with a caller she doesn't realize lives right next door. This sounds so cute. Caleb Knight served a tour of duty in Iraq and paid a steep price. The last thing he wants is pity, so he hides his disability and moves to Deep Haven to land his dream job as a high school football coach. When his beautiful neighbor catches his eye, in a moment of desperation, he seeks advice from My Foolish Heart, the show that airs before his favorite sports broadcast. Before he knows it, Caleb finds himself drawn to the host and more confused than ever. Is his perfect love the woman on the radio or the one next door? Okay, I love these where it's like they end up liking each other, but they don't know, like they think it's two different people, but it ends up being the same person. I do like that trope a lot. So this sounds really cute. I think I might have to read this one regardless of if it's a standalone or not because I like this. I think the radio show is really cute. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do it, especially since it's Kindle Unlimited. Won't have to pay for it additionally, so I might as well. Okay, then, funny enough, and I should have done these in flipped order. Sorry, guys. In the same series, Deep Haven, book number 1 is Happily Ever After, also by Susan May Warren, and this one's also on Kindle Unlimited. So this is actually the same series. So actually, I think what I'm going to do is start with Happily Ever After because it's book 1. I'll look at 2 and 3 and see if they're fall related or not, and then jump to book 4, or I might read them all. We'll see how it goes. This book also looks really cute. The cover has bookshelves and a coffee mug on it, so that's cute. All right, Mona Reynolds knows exactly whom she wants to marry. The only problem is he isn't real. Mona's dream is about to come true with the help of her best friend, Liza, and she's transforming an old Victorian house in the lovely lakeside town of Deep Haven into the footstep of Heaven Bookstore and Coffee Shop. If only she could swing a hammer. Luckily for Mona, Joe Michaels, a handsome, mysterious handyman, agrees to help in exchange for rent in the apartment above her garage. But when disaster threatens her dream, Mona turns to her handyman for more than just household solutions and finds that some fairy tales have surprise endings. Okay, so these sound like they probably have like characters from each book, like in the following books, but they have their own like set of main characters and storylines, like plots. So I think they'd be okay standalone. Next up, we have Sweetwater Gap by Denise Hunter. I have read some Denise Hunter and enjoyed her books. I do have a couple of hers on this list, actually. This one is also available on Kindle Unlimited. When Josephine's family insists she come home to help with the harvest, the timing works. But her return isn't simple benevolence. She plans to persuade the family to sell the failing orchard. Oh, I remember this one being about an apple orchard. Okay. So this sounds like a great like early fall read, so definitely good for September or even August. Although August is over, sadly. All right, the new manager's presence is making it difficult. Grady Mackenzie takes an immediate disliking to Josephine and becomes outright cantankerous when she tries talking her family into selling. As she and Grady work side by side in the orchard, she begins to appreciate his devotion and quiet faith. She senses a vulnerability in him that makes her want to delve deeper, but there's no point letting her heart have its way. He's tied to the orchard, and she could never stay there. They always say never, never say never. All right, yeah, this one sounds cute. I'll definitely be reading this one. Kindle Unlimited, Orchard, so cute. I love that. In Tennessee, where I lived, there is actually an apple orchard that does apple cider and apple cider donuts every fall. So this kind of makes me a little bit nostalgic for that. So maybe I'll wait and read this while I'm in Tennessee next month and visit the orchard. That'd be fun. Yeah, that sounds like a really cute book. I'm into that. And cantankerous is a great word, so props for that. All right, next up, we have another one that is a mid-series. This is Fall Back and Find Me by Sarah Hanks. It is number 2 in Sister in Arms. So again, this could go either way for me, but it looks really cute and the cover is very fallish. Let's see. 2 resilient women separated by over 150 years are linked forever by their challenges, values, and determination. Amber Pritchard is thriving in her role as a pastor's wife, mom, and indispensable church volunteer until chronic illness threatens to upend everything. Now unable to prove her value, she is forced to reevaluate how she defines herself. Inspired by an ancestor's faded journal and heirlooms, she must work with her arch nemesis if she wants to accomplish what is now impossible on her own. Faced with the turmoil of the Civil War, Willow Forrester didn't intend to illegally enlist in the Union Army as a secret female soldier. She only wanted to escape her father's tyranny and follow her brother into the throes of adventure. When she comes face to face with the leader of a guerrilla army, her health and insecurities threaten to shatter her heroism and render her powerless. As their opposition threatens to overtake them, these 2 women must find their strength and identity to defeat impossible odds. Okay, this sounds like, and I can't guarantee this sounds like Sisters in Arms might be different historical stories, maybe wartime stories, but about different characters. I'm going to go with that guess. I want to read this because of a couple things. Civil War timeline, yes, for sure. Pastor's wife, I could kind of do without. That sounds like a lot of drama. But the chronic illness part is definitely relatable for me. I struggle with a lot of invisible chronic illnesses, and so I think this book would probably be hard to read, but also possibly important for me to read. So I think I am going to go ahead and give this one a go, even if it's part of the series. So yeah, that sounds really good. I'm excited about that. I feel like I forgot about the descriptions of all of these. There's a reason I put them on my list, but now that I'm reading through them again, I'm like, oh yeah, this sounds good. This sounds good. Do you guys do the same thing? Is it just me? I don't know. I feel like any bookish people are going to be like that. The next one is also a mid-series read, The Way You Love Me by Michelle Sass Alexson. And this is book 3 in the Fox family series. The cover on this is so cute. It's so cute. The little house with the fall foliage coming out, like, oh my gosh, it's adorable. Okay, Oliver Fox never thought he'd step foot in Deep Haven again. Another Deep Haven, different author and different series, though. That's funny. Not with the ghosts he left behind, but when the custody battle for his beloved daughter hinges on his ability to face his past, he returns to Deep Haven and dives back into the fray of his mistakes, starting with the girl next door. Veterinarian Lena Larson has her hands full with the town's pets, including a shelter for lost animals. The last thing she needs is the arrival of the man who once shattered her heart. But back he is, and with an adorable daughter and the need to start over. She has no intention of letting him back into her life, but when her shelter is destroyed, Lena finds herself with a garage full of homeless animals and an unlikely ally in Oliver. Together, they embark on a mission to find homes for the abandoned animals and help Oliver make peace with his past. But it's not easy to come home. Not everyone believes Oliver has changed, and their doubt could keep him from retaining custody of his daughter. More, Lena has ghosts of her own, and they've returned to haunt her. If she isn't careful, they might even have the power to destroy the surprising, happy ending she never saw coming. Discover this captivating story of healing, forgiveness, and the transformative power of second chances. The animal sounds really cute, so I don't know. I could go either way with that one, but the cover is so cute. We have another mid-series read. This one is called A Mug of Mayhem by Angela Ruth Strong. This is book 4 in the Calf Fun-ated mystery series. That's really cute. I did look at these, and these do also look seasonal. So like there was one that looked like a Christmas time one. So again, if these are not standalone, I may read them in order and come back to it, because it does look like they have like seasonal stories. So we'll see. If you've read any of these, let me know if they could be standalone, because this one looks really cute. The cover is adorable. All right, when their wedding venue becomes a crime scene, the bride and groom are in for a real trick or treat. 1 week before Marissa plans to get married at her fiance's farm, Connor is arrested for a murder in the corn maze. Oh boy. Marissa and her maid of honor, Tandy, must prove the groom innocent before the wedding is canceled. With a copy shop to run, family visiting from out of town, and preparations for the big day, time is running out. The senior citizens who'd been at the farm during the homicide offer to help investigate, but are they witnesses or suspects? A cranky military veteran goes rogue and disappears with his gun. A retired spy suffers from dementia, and a former Broadway star still seems to be putting on a show. Unless the real killer is unmasked, death could do them all apart. Okay, again, I don't really love murders. I don't love mysteries, but this sounds kind of like a fun comedy one, maybe. I could be wrong. I don't know. It does say trick or treat. So I think this would be a good October read for sure. And like I said, if it seems like a good standalone, I'll have to read the summaries from the other ones in the series and see if they're different enough to read on their own. This would be a little bit out of my comfort zone, but I think it could be a fun read. So yeah, I might pick that one up in October. Guys, this is so many mid-series books, and I have mixed feelings about this so much, but they looked so cute that I had to include them. This one looks funny. There's 2 of them, so let me make sure I do these in order. Okay, that is in order. All right, so we've got Spilled Milk and Trouble Brewing by Heather Day Gilbert, and these are both part of the Barks and Beans Cafe Cozy Mystery series, and they're all about dogs and this like cafe where murder pays a visit. Um, so I won't read both descriptions, but basically they have dogs on the covers, and it's like this one looks like it takes place during the fall when like the fall festival is going on, the Spilled Milk. And then the Trouble Brewing, there is like a lot of fall foliage and like bats flying around. So I feel like Spilled Milk would be a good September read, and then Trouble Brewing would be a good October read. So they do have pretty high ratings. So I think I am going to read those two. I don't think that I will read the other ones for now, but I think I will definitely read these two. All right, next up we have The Gold in These Hills by Joanne Bischoff. I am sorry to all these authors. If you're one of these authors and I'm ruining your name, I'm sorry. I should probably have looked up the pronunciation before I did this video. As somebody with the last name Schmidt, I understand how it feels to have your name completely butchered all the time. Okay, so let's see. The Gold in These Hills. Two second chance love stories, hope across the centuries, and the legacy that binds them together. Upon arriving at Kenworthy, California, mail order bride Juniper Cohen was met by the pounding of the gold mine, the rowdiness of its prospectors, and her greatest surprise of all, the love of the kind man who awaited her. But when the mine proves empty of profit, and when Juniper's husband vanishes, doubt and discouragement are as prevalent as the pioneers fleeing this dwindling boomtown. As winter blows in, Juniper pens a series of letters to her husband, but fears she is waiting on a ghost or worse, an outlaw. Carving out survival for her and her young daughter in a ghost town requires trusting in the kindness of a few remaining souls, including the one who can unlock the mystery of her husband's disappearance. A century later, trying to escape the heartache of his failed marriage, Johnny Sutherland throws himself into raising his child and restoring a 100-year-old abandoned farmhouse in California's San Jacinto Mountains. While exploring its secrets, he uncovers the letters Juniper wrote to dearest John and is moved by the handwritten accounts that bear his name. Having learned that the truth and courage go hand in hand, Johnny dares to love again, and armed with lessons from the past, a modern-day romance unfolds in the very same mountains that once held a love story that touched history. All right, so this one's also dual timeline. I haven't read any like with the California Gold Rush in California, except maybe I think Redeeming Love had some of those elements. Um, so that sounds like an interesting read. It kind of reminds me of that Sandra Bullock movie where they're like passing letters through time in the mailbox. I know it's different because he just finds them and they're not like talking, but it kind of gives me those vibes. I think that one will also be a November read for me because it talks about like getting into winter as like winter starts blowing in. So I think that'll be like a good fall winter book for sure. All right, the next one is also number 3 in a series. This is Choices of the Heart by Lori Alice Eakes. And this is part of the Midwives series. This one has a very fall cover, so this one jumped out to me. Esther Sherritt comes from a proud line of midwives and was trained by her mother to take over the family calling. But when a scandal threatens all she holds dear, Esther takes a position as a teacher in the western mountains of Virginia instead. There she finds herself in the midst of a deadly family feud and courted by 2 men on opposite sides of the conflict. When it seems as though her past has followed her all the way into the mountains, all she wants is to run away again. In this gripping story of trust, deception, and bittersweet loss, a young woman learns the true meaning of choices of the heart. So yeah, that one sounds cute. I could definitely get into that. All right, next up is Sweet Love at Honey Landing, a mail order bride story with a twist. This is by Linda Ellen and is book 1 in a series called Maple Heights. This one looked cute, and this was the second mail order bride story, and then the California one. So I kind of liked maybe reading those two back to back. I kind of do that. Like if I find a trope that's similar, I'll like read them back to back to kind of compare them. All right, so this one says, a mail order bride story with a twist. October 1870, Cincinnati-born Angelique DeWitt, widowed and caring for her 5-year-old daughter Zena, finds herself scrambling for a place for her and her little girl. About to become homeless and in desperation, Angelique makes a quick decision to become a mail order bride for a man named Thaddeus Billings, a hotel owner in Kansas. But once they get on their way, Angelique wonders if she has done the right thing, especially when disaster strikes. Terry Kramer has had it rough most of his life. Now divorced and raising his 6-year-old son, he has a prosperous farm and steamboat landing on the banks of the Ohio River, 13 miles south of Louisville. He has everything he needs except a good woman to love him and help raise his boy. Always too busy to go out looking for a female to court, Terry says one would have to drop on his lap. Sometimes circumstances work out in the strangest ways, even because of a broken down old steamboat. You just never know what's around that next bend in life, do you? Okay. This sounds really cute, and I have a feeling I kind of know what's going to happen. You probably do too, just from that description. I like the idea of having like the steamboat. That sounds really cute. So I think this is definitely going to be one that I go ahead and buy. Next up, we have Laurel's Dream by Pepper Basham, and this is part of My Heart Belongs. Doesn't say what number, so I'm guessing it's the first one. If I'm wrong, please let me know. It doesn't say number one or number anything. I have read a couple of Pepper Basham books and I do like them. So um, this one looks like this one doesn't look like as much of a rom-com. This one looks a little bit more of like a historical fiction, which is more, what I tend to read. So, all right, dreams are precious commodities in the Blue Ridge Mountains of 1918, and Laurel McAdams. This is the third Laurel on this list, guys. And I just read a Laurel book. Okay. Sorry. Laurel Adams is attempting to make her dreams come true, but sometimes life in the mountains has a way of squandering dreams. As she attempts to avoid matrimony, she is secretly saving for her future with the sole purpose of becoming a teacher and bringing consistent education back to her people. Having failed his British father again by being unable to fight in the Great War, Jonathan Taylor finds or joins his uncle's missionary endeavors as a teacher in a two-room schoolhouse in Appalachia, but nothing prepares him for the rugged wilderness, narrow-minded relatives. Oh my gosh, guys, sorry. Narrow-minded natives and Laurel McAdams. Her joy and friendship prove a guiding light in the middle of his new responsibilities and tempt his timid heart toward a future she never expected. But when Jonathan's teaching methods lead to dangerous outcomes and Laurel's dream is threatened by an unexpected choice, will these two learn how to find hope and maybe even love beyond the heartache? Can Jonathan and Laurel create a new dream from the shattered pieces of the old ones, or will bitterness and brokenness keep them apart? All right, I'm a teacher, y'all, so this sounds cute. Yeah, I'm really curious. That makes me curious. What teaching methods led to dangerous outcomes? My teacher curiosity is peaking. I'm like, all right. So that could be one that we read this fall. Next up, we have Courting Morrow Little. This is such an interesting name. I guess her name is Morrow Little. Okay, by Laura France. Morrow Little is haunted by the memory of the day her father was torn apart by raiding Shawnee warriors. Now that she is nearly a grown woman and her faith is ailing, she must make difficult choices about the future. Several men, ranging from the undesired to the unthinkable, vie for her attentions, but she finds herself inexplicably drawn to a forbidden love that both terrifies and intrigues her. Can she betray the memory of her lost loved ones and garner suspicion from her friends by pursuing a life with him? Or should she seal her own misery by marrying a man she doesn't love? The sweeping tale of romance and forgiveness will envelop readers as it takes them from a Kentucky fort through the vast wilderness to the West in search of true love. Okay, this is a definite going to read for me this fall. Again, maybe like October or November. I love that it brings in the Shawnee warriors, and then there's kind of like westward expansion stuff throughout there. I'm hoping that her love interest is actually one of the Shawnee warriors, but I don't know. That's what I hope. But yes, I'm definitely going to read that one because I like Native American stories, and also kind of like westward expansion time period. Okay, so this story is also giving me like Oregon Trail vibes. Did any of you other millennials play Oregon Trail on your computer in the 90s? Yeah. All right. So yeah, that's definitely going to be one I'm going to be reading for sure. The next one that I'm talking about is actually my current read right now. So I am in the process of reading this. I can't actually give a recommendation yet because I'm just like a couple of pages in, but I'm really, really excited about this book. It's called The Heart of Bennett Hollow, and it's by uh, Joanne Bischoff Dewitt. It is expected to come out on around October 7th. So this is an ARC book that I got through NetGalley, and it was one that I definitely wanted to read. As you can see, the cover definitely has like foresty fall vibes in it. And this is also a retelling of Pride and Prejudice, which also gives like cozy fall vibes, I feel like, for me. So yeah, I'm really excited to keep going with this one. I don't know. I think this is going to be one of my favorites of the year, but I don't want to jinx it, knock on wood. An Appalachian farmer's daughter and a wealthy businessman find a surprising love, but must reckon with what divides them in this retelling of Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice by the award-winning author of The Lady and the Lionheart. I have not read that, but it sounds like I need to. New River, Virginia, 1904. Lisbeth Bennet longs to preserve her family's farm, securing a future for her and her sisters a difficult task in their Appalachian coal mining town. Money is scarce, and Lisbeth is determined to find a way without giving up treasured pieces of her family's legacy. But when the mine is put up for sale, its clear change is approaching. A contingent of coal barons descends upon the town to investigate whether the mine is worth their investment, among them a young man rumored to be a very rich, eligible bachelor. William Drake arrives focused on business and keeping his distance from the townspeople, especially those living on land entangled with the mine, including a farmer by the name of Bennett. As William digs through legal issues, his struggles to weigh the potential financial gain against what is right for the community grows more complicated when he meets one of the Bennett daughters. I love Pride and Prejudice. I love Jane Austen. So I am always a little bit wary of reading Pride and Prejudice retellings. And there are some that I've liked and there's some that I haven't liked, but the historical aspect of this makes me think I will like it. One thing that I don't love though is when the authors use a similar name, like Lisbeth Bennet. I mean, that's pretty. Now we don't have a Darcy, we have a Drake. So it's like I feel like the female lead should have had a different name if we're not keeping them both with their original names. Anyway, we'll see how it goes. Like I said, I'm reading it now. I hope it's going to be a good read. But because I'm such a big Jane Austen and Pride and Prejudice fan, I'm always a little bit nervous about reading these retellings because, you know, they can be done really well or they can't. So we'll see how it goes. I'll keep you updated. Next one is How to Fall for a Cowboy, an all pumpkin, no spice Christian rom-com. I mean, there you go. I think this might be another September read for me. Maybe October. This one just sounds like a pumpkin spice kind of book, so I think it needs to be read. And if you hear me typing, I'm just adding notes when I want to read these as I'm talking through my thoughts. All right, this is by Cassandra Joel. This actually doesn't come out until September 16th, so this will be a new release coming out soon. She's glossy nails, he's flaky crust, the pack half-baked. In the town of Maple Haven, Wyoming, autumn isn't just a season, it's a celebration. Ginger Hart is spending the season like she has for the past, hopelessly crushing on Dallas, the gym bro who communicates in motivational quotes. In her quest for his attention, Ginger's lost more than a few pounds, maybe a bit of herself. As the town gears up for the annual pumpkin stampede, something, or rather someone, rolls into town in a pumpkin-themed dessert truck parked right outside of Ginger's salon. Behind the counter, ex-bull rider Tucker Callahan. He's all cowboy hat and delicious sweets, basically everything Ginger's been trying to resist. When they decide to fake date for his image and for her to get Dallas's attention, he proposes one sugary sweet condition. As cozy sparks fly, Ginger begins to wonder if God's sweetest plans aren't always the ones we bake of ourselves. Okay, like I said, I'm not like the hugest fan of like rom-com and romance books, but this sounds really cute. And I really just need her to not end up with Dallas the gym bro. I have to say that. That's a no-go on the gym bros. Okay, yeah, that's definitely going to be one that I splurge and pay for because that sounds really cute. And the cover is so cute as well. Next, we have Of Gold and Shadows by Michelle Griep. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. This is book one of Time's Lost Treasures. In 1888 Victorian England, Amy Dalton navigates a clandestine dual life. By day, she strives to establish herself as a respected Egyptologist. Okay, yes. Overcoming the gender bias that permeates academia. But with a heart for rescuing black market artifacts, she is most often disguised as her alter ego, the Shadow Broker. After 8 years in India, Oxford's most eligible bachelor, Edmund Price, has come out of the shadows to run for parliament and is in search for an Egyptologist to value a newly acquired collection. Expecting a renowned Oxford professor, Edmund instead finds himself entangled with Ami, the professor's determined daughter. As they delve into the treasures, their connection deepens, but trouble emerges when a golden griffin, rumored to bear the curse of Amentuk, surfaces, and they're left to wonder if the curse really is at play or if something more nefarious is hiding among the shadows. Okay, this sounds cool. This kind of reminds me of To Love a Beast that I read. That's a Beauty and the Beast retelling. Because it's like the daughter comes to do the work instead of the dad, and the man's not expecting it, and then he's like, "Oh, it's a girl." I'm fascinated by like ancient Egypt. I want to go to Egypt, and so this sounds like a really cool book. This is definitely one I'm going to pick up, probably in October, just because it sounds like it's got some like spooky stuff in it. And again, I don't like curses in books, but I'm going to give it a try. Next, we have another Denise Hunter. I think this is number 3. This one's Before We Were Us by Denise Hunter. She can't remember, he can't forget. 7 months ago, after graduating with a hospitality degree, a city girl, Lauren Wentworth, traveled to rural New Hampshire to become a temporary manager of Pine Haven Lodges, a rustic family-owned resort. See, this feels very fall to me, and that's what makes me like it. That sounds really fall. Okay. What started as just a springboard to her dream job became so much more when she fell in love with the owner's son, Jonah, the Landry family, and her simple but rewarding position at the resort. Now she's reaching toward a different kind of future than she'd imagined for herself and happier than she's ever been. But then she falls from a ladder. When Laurel wakes up in the hospital, she only recalls her first couple months at the resort. She remembers her adversarial relationship with Jonah and her major crush on small town Dr. Carson, who also has big city ambitions, but is unfortunately taken. Oh boy. However, according to everyone around her, she's now madly in love with Jonah and has forfeited the dream job awaiting her in Boston. It seems impossible to believe she could have made such drastic changes in a matter of months. Jonah is heartbroken at her memory loss and determined to help Lauren remember the deep feelings they've developed for one another. But Lauren isn't sure she wants to remember falling in love with someone she doesn't even like or giving up her dream career for a rustic resort in Podunk, New Hampshire. So this is one that I would like to read. This sounds really cute. The memory loss, the not being sure why she was like liking that. I think that's going to be one that I enjoy. Okay, next we have Low Country Lost. This one has a really cute cover with a beat up old blue pickup truck on it that looks vintage. I don't know, it looks super cute. This is by T.I. Lowe or Lau. Sometimes what haunts you most is wondering what could have been. Avalee Elvis prides herself with being able to fix just about anything except her past. Unable to put the puzzle of her life together, she pours heart and soul into making neglected places whole again. As the owner of Low Country Lost, Avalee spends her days in hot pink Carhartt overalls. That must be a thing I don't know about. And a tool belt reclaiming low country properties. Making them beautiful again releases the deep sigh that soothes the heart she holds. Avalee's latest project takes her to tiny somewhere, South Carolina, a long abandoned town. She ignores its ghostly folklore, but can't miss the shock of hearing the familiar Irish brogue that materializes on the job site, the voice of a man she never wanted to see again. Okay, I'm not going to read the rest of that summary because it's really long. This sounds really cute for October. Um, I love interior design and like fix-it shows, so this sounds like it might be right up my alley in terms of that. I'm not sure about the haunted part, but that sounds like a good October read for sure. Okay, we are now coming to one that I am so excited about reading. I have seen multiple people do ARC reviews for this. I think it just came out in like not that long ago, like at the end of August. This is The Divine Proverb of Streusel by Sarah Brunswold. And I'm really, really excited for this one. Shaken by her parents' divorce and discouraged by the growing chasm between herself and her serious boyfriend, Nikki Warner seeks solace at her uncle's farm in a small Missouri hamlet. She'll spend the summer there picking up the pieces of her shattered present so she can plan a better future. But what awaits her at the ancestral farm is the past, one she barely knows. Among her late grandmother's belongings, Nikki finds an old notebook filled with handwritten German recipes and wise sayings pulled from the Book of Proverbs. With each recipe she makes, she invites locals to the family to hear their stories about the town's history, her ancestors, and her estranged father. What started as a cathartic way to connect to her heritage soon became the means through which she learns how the women before her endured with the help of their cooking prowess and a healthy dollop of faith. Okay, so this one technically at least starts during the summer. I'm not sure if it goes into the fall, but for me, German recipes and streusel, I don't know, it just sounds fallish to me. So I have some German ancestry, and um, when I lived in Sanford, Florida for a while, there was this German restaurant that had like all kinds of German food, and I just absolutely fell in love with it. So it's just like a connection, like ancestry thing for me. But yeah, I'm really excited to read that. It sounds super cute. Okay, next up is Until Leaves Fall in Paris. This one is a historical fiction by Sarah Sundin. When the Nazis marched toward Paris, American ballerina Lucy Gerard buys her favorite English language bookstore to allow the Jewish owners to escape. The Germans make it difficult for her to keep Greenleaf books afloat, and she must keep the store open if she is to continue aiding the resistance by passing secret messages between the pages of her books. Widower Paul Aubrey wants nothing more than to return to the States with his little girl, but the U.S. Army convinces him to keep his factory running and obtain military information from his German customers. As the war rages on, Paul offers his own resistance by sabotaging his product and hiding British airmen in his factory. But in order to carry out his mission, he must appear to support the occupation, which does not win him any sympathy when he meets Lucy in the bookstore. In a world turned upside down, will love or duty prevail? Okay, so I just finished reading a World War II book, and that was called The Women of Oak Ridge. I have a review that I just put up on that, so go check that out. So I could see reading this soon because, like I said, I like reading similar like time elements or tropes together with each other, like grouping them. I don't know. But this sounds cute. Bookstore, World War II, Paris. Yeah, that looks like a really good read. So that's definitely one I would like to get to if I have time. All right, guys, I know this has been like the longest video ever. We are almost there. There's a couple more books left. The next one is The Librarian of Boone's Hollow. This is book number 1, yay, in the Librarian of Boone's Hollow series by Kim Vogel Sawyer. A traveling librarian ventures into the mining towns of Kentucky on horseback and rediscovers her passions in this powerful novel from the best-selling author of A Silken Thread. Have not read any by her. During the Great Depression, Addie Coward dreams, I don't know if it's Coward or Cowherd, dreams of being a novelist and offering readers the escape that books gave her during her tragic childhood. When her adopted father loses his job, she is forced to leave college and take the only employment she can find, delivering books on horseback to poor coal mining families in the hills of Kentucky. The small community of Boone's Hollow is suspicious of outsiders and steeped in superstitions that leave Addie feeling rejected and indignant. Although she finds an unexpected friend in an elderly outcast, the other horseback librarians scorn her determination to befriend Nanny Faye. Okay, this is inspired by the real WPA program that sent librarians on horseback to deliver books to hill families in Kentucky. I read a book about this. I'm wondering if I did read this book before. I definitely read a book where a girl goes out and delivers books in the WPA program, but I don't remember if it was this book or not. So I might start this and see if it feels overly familiar or not. I feel like it wasn't this book. I feel like I'd remember the cover and the character name. I don't think this is it, but I remember enjoying that other book, and I can't remember the name of it. I don't think it was Christian fiction, though, if I'm remembering correctly. But yeah, this sounds like a great read and one that I would definitely enjoy. A traveling librarian. I mean, that's automatic, right? Oh man, it's gonna be so hard to pick. I know you guys are probably waiting for this. You can't have a fall TBR with Christian fiction without a Jamie Jo Wright book. So I have not read Jamie Jo Wright, and I have heard her books are spooky or creepy or intense. Like, so I don't know how I'm gonna like it, but I do want to read one of them and give it a go, because I know people really love them. So this is The Vanishing at Castle Moreau by Jamie Jo Wright. In 1865, orphaned Daisy Francois takes a position as housemaid at a Midwestern Wisconsin castle and finds that the reclusive and eccentric Gothic authoress inside hides more than the harrowing tales in her novels. With women disappearing from the area and a legend that seems to parallel these eerie circumstances, Daisy is thrust into a web that may threaten to steal her sanity, if not her life. In the present day, Cleo Clemens is hired by the grandson of American aristocratic family, the Tremblays, to help his matriarchal grandmother face her hoarding in the dilapidated Castle Moreau. But when Cleo uncovers more than just the woman's stashes of collectibles, a century-old mystery of disappearance and sanity, and the dust of the old castle's curse threatens to rise again, and this time leave no one alive to tell its sordid tale. Okay. Yeah, I think I'm going to give it a go. I think that'll be an October read for me. So let me know in the comments if you guys think that is the best one by Jamie Jo Wright to start with, or if you recommend a different one. Um, yeah, I mean, it sounds like it would be a good fall read. But like I said, I'm not super familiar with her books, so I just kind of picked one that I saw recommended. Okay, next up we have one that I've been really excited about. I don't know a lot about it, but I heard it recommended like many times, and this is the Boo series. So this is definitely going to be one of my October reads. And I don't know if I'm going to do the whole series or if I'm just going to read the first one this year. I guess we'll have to see how much I enjoy them and how fast I go through them, to see if I end up like doing the whole series or not. We'll have to see. So this is Boo by Renee Gutteridge. Hope I'm saying that right. Talk about working out your faith with fear and trembling. A scheme is plotted to put the fright back into Sharky and get their most famous resident out of love and back into the thrill business. The biggest thing to happen to scary Indiana is renowned horror novelist Wolf Boone, or Boo, as the locals fondly call him. For the past 16 years, the reclusive writer has been the town's greatest attraction, having unintentionally turned the once struggling Scary into a thriving tourist trap for the dark from the Haunted Mansion restaurant, famous for its bloody fingers, fries splattered with ketchup, to Spooky's bookstore, where employees dress like the Walking Dead. But when a newly reformed Boone suddenly quits the genre and starts to pursue Scary's favorite girl next door, Ainsley Parker, the little town, made famous by his writing, becomes truly horrified. The residents know that the only solution is for Boo to fall out of love and get back to scaring. Filled with humor, small town charm, and a gentle message of enduring faith, Boo shows how even the most colorful group of busybodies and hypocrites can become a community changed forever by God. So this sounds like this creepy writer becomes a Christian and decides not to write horror anymore. And I think a lot of us reading Christian fiction can relate to this, where we like maybe loved certain books or genres before, but just decided like out of obedience in God and our faith that we're not going to do that anymore. So I feel like this will be really relatable for me this year, but also just a really cute read, for sure. So there's Boo, there's Boo Hoo, and there's Boo Hiss. Those are the three in the series. All right, I know I said we only had a couple left like a while ago, but we still have like quite a few left. Sorry, guys. It's just, I love fall time, and some of these books sound so good. I'm never going to get to them all, but I hope that you guys will at least have like a big batch to pick from when you're choosing your fall TBRs from here. All right, the next one is The Letter Tree by Rachel Fordham. Again, I have read a Rachel Fordham and enjoyed it, and I think I have two on this list that are by her. So this one looks really cute. Mere words can't end their family's feud, but the Campbell heir and the Bradshaw heiress plan to write a future together. Buffalo, New York, 1924. Laura Bradshaw adores stories with happy ever afters, but since her mother died 7 years ago, the Bradshaw Shoe Company heiress has been as good as locked away in a tower. Her overbearing father cares little for her dreams, throwing himself instead into his tireless takedown of his competitor, the Campbell Shoe Company. However, Laura has been gifted with a mysterious friend with whom she's been exchanging letters. As heir to the Campbell Shoe Company, Isaac Campbell is a sought-after bachelor who has never felt an inkling of desire for the women who constantly bat their eyes at him. His thoughts are consumed by an oak tree in the Buffalo Zoo, or rather, the mystery woman he exchanges letters with courtesy of the tree. She's been one of Isaac's only joys in a life consumed by his father's tireless hatred of Bradshaw, a hatred that Isaac is coming to realize may affect him more personally than he ever imagined. When Laura's father orchestrates a match between her and an important business owner, she resolved to pursue her only chance at freedom. But Isaac believes their story isn't bound for a tragic ending. He's certain there's more to the Bradshaw-Campbell feud than meets the eye, and he won't stop digging until he uncovers the truth that might bridge the divide between him and the woman whose words captured his heart. Okay, I'm not sure if this is like a letter-based book. I don't tend to love books that are written through letters. Um, But it does sound like a really good story, like the enemies to lovers, warring families trope kind of a thing. So I do want to read it. And hopefully it's just like letters mixed into narrative because I prefer that. I read a book that was like mostly letters and emails and texts recently, and it was a really cute story, but I don't know, I couldn't get into the letters. I don't know. It depends on the book and it depends on the author. So I'll definitely give it a shot because it sounds really cute and historical as well. All right, next up we have the Fifth Avenue Story Society. This is by Rachel Hawk. An invitation to join the Fifth Avenue Story Society gives five New York strangers a chance to rewrite their own stories. Executive assistant Lexa is eager for a much-deserved promotion, but her boss is determined to keep her underemployed. Literature professor Jet is dealing with a broken heart as well as a nagging suspicion his literary idol, Gordon Phipps Roth, must be a fraud. His name sounds like he's a fraud. Goodness gracious. Uber driver Chuck just wants a second chance with his kids. Aging widower Ed is eager to write the true story of his incredible marriage. Coral, queen of the cosmetics industry, has broken her engagement and is on the verge of losing her great-grandmother's multi-million-dollar empire. When all five New Yorkers receive an anonymous, mysterious invitation to the Fifth Avenue Story Society, they suspect they're victims of a practical joke. No one knows who sent the invitations or why. No one has heard of the Literary Society, and no one is prepared to bear their deepest secrets to a room full of strangers. Yet curiosity and loneliness brings them back week after week to the old library, and it's there they discover the stories of their hearts and the kind of friendship and loves that heals their souls. This sounds so cute. This is going to be probably a November read for me. It sounds cozy, it sounds cute. I like that it probably has the five different perspectives and are all coming together through the society. So I think this will probably be one that I definitely check out in November. All right, next up we have A Name Unknown, which is book one in Shadows Over England series by Rosianna M. White. And I hope I'm saying this correctly. I have read one of her books and enjoyed it. Rosianna M. White. All right. Rosemary Gresham has no family beyond the band of former urchins that helped her survive as a girl in the mean streets of London. Grown now, they concentrate on stealing high-value items and have learned how to blend into upper-class society. But when Rosemary must determine whether a certain wealthy gentleman is loyal to Britain or to Germany, she is in for the challenge of a lifetime. How does one steal a family's history, their very name? Peter Holstein, given his family's German blood, writes his popular series of adventure novels under a pen name. With European politics boiling and his own neighbors suspicious of him, Peter debates whether it might be best to change his name for good. When Rosemary shows up at his door pretending to be a historian and offering to help him trace his family history, his question might be answered. But as the two work together and Rosemary sees his gracious reaction to his neighbor's scornful attacks, she wonders if her assignment is going down the wrong path. Is it too late to help him prove that he's more than his name? That sounds adorable. She's like a con artist and she's gonna con him. I need to know what happens there. That sounds like a good one. Oh my goodness, there's too many books, not enough time, not enough money, guys. Okay. Ugh, this is another one that looked really, really good that I'm really excited to read, that I might try to prioritize. I'm not sure when. And that is Autumn by the Sea by Melissa Tagg. It's book number one in the Muir Harbor series. Abandoned as a toddler, Sydney Rose has spent years wondering who she really is, homesick for a life she's never lived. When a private investigator crashes into her world, she finds herself heading to a tiny seaside town in Maine to meet a woman named Maggie who's searching for the granddaughter she lost decades ago. If not for Maggie, Neil McKeon might still be back in Scotland, bereft and alone. Instead, he has a full life in Muir Harbor? With an adopted family he loves and a blueberry farm to run. Guys, a blueberry sounds so cute. So we've got a guy from Scotland, we've got a blueberry farm, we've got like long lost granddaughter. This sounds so nice. Okay. But the farm is struggling and strange occurrences have him concerned. Worse, Maggie's once again caught up in the past, convinced she's finally found her long lost granddaughter. Worried for Maggie, Neil is suspicious of the city girl who shows up at the farm. But there's something about Sydney that tugs on him, drawing out secrets he never meant to share. While Neil grapples with the future of the farm, Sydney wrestles with the past that's messier than ever. Together, they're pulled into a mystery complete with centuries-old legend, unexpected danger, and a love as deep and wild as the sea. So yeah, this is one that I would really like to get to. Again, I don't know when. I don't know that I have a preference. It just kind of sounds like a nice read. Um, so yeah, we'll see. We'll see when we get to that one. I've heard really good things about that book. All right, the next on the list is A Rumored Fortune by Joanna Davidson Politano. Hopefully. Tressa Harlow's father did not trust banks, but neither did he trust his greedy extended family. He kept his vast fortune hidden somewhere on his estate in the south of England and died suddenly without telling anyone where he had concealed it. Tressa and her ailing mother are left with a mansion and an immense vineyard and no money to run it. It doesn't take long for a bevy of opportunists to flock to the estate under the guise of offering condolences. Tessa knows what they're really up to. She'll have to work with the rough and rusticated vineyard manager to keep the laborers content without pay and discover the key to finding her father's fortune before someone else finds it. All right, so that one, I don't know why this felt fall to me. Maybe it's the cover. Um, yeah, it just maybe the vineyard. I don't know. It's giving fall vibes. So that one sounds really cute, and I think I'd really enjoy that one. We have two more on the list, guys, to wrap it up. The next one is Appalachian Song by Michelle Shockley. I just finished my first Michelle Shockley book, which was The Women of Oak Ridge, which just came out. And I loved it, loved it, loved it. 5-star for me. So I definitely want to read more of her books. So I wanted to include one on this list. Again, I don't know if this takes place in fall, but the name and the cover gives fall vibes. So Appalachian Song. Forever within the memories of my heart. Always remember you are perfectly loved. Birdie Jenkins has spent 40 years serving as a midwife for her community in the Great Smoky Mountains of East Tennessee. Out of all the mothers she's tended, none affects her more than the young teenager who shows up on her doorstep, injured, afraid, and expecting, one warm June day in 1943. Okay, so it starts in the summer, but still. It's got the forest, the mountains, the midwives. I'm still getting fall vibes. I'm just trying to make it so because I really want to read another Michelle Shockley. As Birdie and her 4 sisters tenderly nurture Songbird back to health, the bond between the childless midwife and the motherless teen grows strong. But soon Songbird is forced to making a heartbreaking decision that will tear this little family apart. 30 years later, the day after his father's funeral, Walker Wiley is stunned to learn he was adopted as an infant. The famous country singer enlists the help of adoption advocate Reese Chandler in the hopes of learning why he was abandoned by his birth parents. With the only clue he has in hand, Walker and Reese head deep into the Appalachian Mountains to track down Birdie Jenkins, the midwife who holds the secret to Walker's past. Okay, yeah, this is one I am so excited about. Again, I might be a little biased because I just loved the first book I read from her, but like this sounds so good to me. This sounds so, so good. So, yeah, again, I don't know when I'm going to read this, but it's definitely going to the top of my list for sure. And last but not least, we have The British Booksellers by Christy Cambron. I have not read this author before. Again, I don't know that this is necessarily taking place in the fall. The cover isn't necessarily fall, although it's beautiful, but it's booksellers. It's just booksellers. Books feel fall to me and British things. I don't know. Okay, so let's see what it's about. Inspired by real accounts of the forgotten Blitz bombings, The British Booksellers highlights the courage of those whose lives were forever changed by war and the stories that bind us in the fight for what matters most. A tenant farmer's son had no business daring to dream of a future with an earl's daughter, but that couldn't keep Amos Darby from his secret friendship with Charlotte Tarrington, until the reality of the Great War sobered youthful dreams. Now, decades later, he bears the brutal scars of battles fought in the trenches and their futures that were stolen away. His return home doesn't come with tender reunions, but with the hollow fulfillment of opening a bookshop on his own and retreating as a recluse within its walls. When the future Earl of Harcourt chose Charlotte to be his wife, she knew she was destined for a loveless match. Though her heart had chosen another long ago, she pledges her future even as her husband goes to war. 25 years later, Charlotte remains a war widow who divides her days between her late husband's declining estate and operating a quaint Coventry bookshop, Eden Books, lovingly named after her grown daughter. And Amos is nothing more than the rival bookseller across the lane. As war with Hitler looms, Eden is determined to preserve her father's legacy. So when an American solicitor arrives threatening a lawsuit that could destroy everything they've worked hard to preserve, mother and daughter prepare to fight back. But with devastation wrought by the loft waifs local blitz terrorizing the skies, battling bookshops and lost loves. Amos and Charlotte must put aside their differences and fight together to help Coventry survive. Whew, okay, that was a bit to read. That was a long one. Okay, so it looks like we've got a historical fiction, and yeah, this sounds really cute. Again, I think if I have money and time, I will try to get to this one. But if not, I think this one could be one that I read anytime in the year. So we'll see how it goes for this one. One last bonus series I want to throw out there. And again, not because it takes place necessarily in fall, but because it kind of gave like cozy historical vibes for me, is the Timeless series by Gabrielle Meyer. I did read number 1, which is When the Day Comes, and loved it. 5-star read for me. I've heard nothing but good things about her whole series. She is apparently coming out with number 6 soon, so I need to catch up. I have number 2 in my it's in my Kindle, it's ready to go, but I haven't started it because I've been trying to get some of my ARC reads done. But I definitely want to read In This Moment, at least in the next couple of months, if not number 3, 4, and 5 as well. But yeah, this is a series, or at least number 1 to me, that feels very cozy and gives fall vibes, that I just really also enjoyed. So it may not specifically be all of them that feel fallish, but for me it did. So I just wanted to throw that one out there as another recommendation. Thank you to those who made it this far. Again, I know this was a super long video, but hopefully it's something you can just put on and listen to while you're going about your day, and hopefully adding books to your list in Amazon or Goodreads to read for fall. I hope you found some books through this video that you're excited to read. And if you have others that I haven't mentioned that you have read or are excited to read for a fall TBR, please go ahead and drop them in the comments. I would love to hear some other recommendations. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up to help my channel. I'd love to have you subscribe so that you can see future content coming out. Thank you guys, and I will see you in the next video. Happy fall!